What up, y'all? Come on in here. Come on in here. Come on in here, folks. I talked a little bit about this earlier on YouTube, but I'm gonna take a different angle today on here on Twitter Space because I want to hear you guys' comments and stuff like that. What's up, Nicey Girl? What's up, different? Are entertainers responsible for what they put out? This is coming up on the heels of Marlon Wayans' interview, where Marlon says that he defends his wearing of a dress. He says, "Hey, white people do it too," and and then he went on to say, "As entertainers, we don't think like that." He was talking about. He said everything is supposed to have a message. It's gonna be some things. The only thing we care about as entertainers is our art, and I have some pushback to that because we have so many great goddamn entertainers as black folks over the millennia that we have so many great entertainers that we've had over the millennia uh, that have incorporated some sort of social consciousness into their art, and they've done it well. So that's where my pushback is when it comes to what he said. But I want to have a more discussion style format, and I'm definitely gonna talk. Um, Eve, you're here. I want you to know. I want you to kick it off, and again, if anybody got something to say, you go ahead and raise your hands and say something. Don't be scared. You know, don't be afraid to say what you have to say. Don't don't be afraid to be on stage next to us because you're afraid of who might say something. Come on up here and have a good time, and let's discuss this topic because I think it's something that we need to talk about. But Eve, go right ahead. What's your initial thoughts on this topic?
Peace, Dwan. Peace to the room. I think this is a good topic. Um, People who are in the spotlight uh, sometimes don't necessarily think that their words have any weight, but they also know that people are following them because they're in the spotlight. I think maybe, I don't know, I guess my initial thoughts are, can we split the baby? I know people hate when I say that, but what I mean is, at least with this topic, if an entertainer goes out there and says, look, I'm just an entertainer, I am not out here trying to do anything with regards to any fights. I'm not trying to debate. I'm not trying to uh, I'm not trying to challenge anything. I'm just trying to get my paycheck. Then, people should respect a person like that. But then I don't think people are really like that, right? Because they're people and they have thoughts. And then sometimes those thoughts get heard by people who don't share those thoughts. And then, now we're in a situation where you shouldn't have said that. People are listening to you, So um, I think it's a very real conversation starter because once you get to a certain exposure level, well, do you have a say in how people react to you and the things that you say, or are you supposed to just toe the line? At least I think that's my initial thoughts for this topic.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to get in and start off. Are you supposed to toe the line? Yeah, I definitely get it going. But I see my man difference up here, man. What you got to say about this topic? Off top.
Hey, Dwan, what's up, homie?
What's up, brother?
Well, the only thing I got to say about that is I've been kind of listening to this one guy named Angry Man, and he kind of voiced his opinion on the culture, saying that a lot of black people don't have appreciation for their own culture because the music that's like that's coming out through the mainstream. It's kind of dumb to me because we don't have no control over that shit. Like, like because there's a lot of dope shit that's coming out, but it's underground. We don't really necessarily have control over that. So,
I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna let you cook some more, but I
all
want to
right,
jump in on real quick something you just said. I'm gonna let you finish off
all
after
right,
I said it, but I want to get my thought.
cool.
But because you just said something that spurred a thought with me, but we don't control the mainstream. I just thought about like back in the '80s, in the '90s, really before the 2000s. going back 90s on back, early 90s on back to the 80s, there was a clear line. Pop was always white, and you had a handful of black artists that could cross that could get a pop song here and there. Michael Jackson in the 80s, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Lionel Richie, and Prince. Those were really the only four black people that really crossed over and got mass acceptance from white folks. Everything else was seen as urban or fringe. So in the 80s and the 70s, there was never ever any real expectation of pop. And then when hip hop comes along, we understand, and before that usually whoever makes it to pop is watered down, and they don't really represent us. Same thing in jazz. Like in jazz, like whoever the pop jazz artist is, like no disrespect, and I love Wynton Marsalis. I've seen Wynton Marsalis like live like 10 different times, but Wynton wasn't the trumpet player that the Jazz Society pushed forward. Even if you can go back and find old clippings of Miles Davis sort of talking about like him not really having that thing that you normally need to possess, you know, and we saw that's the first time Wynton Marsalis was the first jazz artist that we've seen where the mainstream put them at number one over what the streets chose. But out outside of every now and again having an exception of a black crossover artist, in the '60s it was Johnny Mathis. You had for a while you had Dionne Warwick. You had, but outside of that, black folks didn't really have any real expectations of mainstream. We knew our shit was over here. Since the 2000s, a lot of your mainstream artists have been black or black adjacent. Like Bruno, when I say black adjacent, I'm talking Bruno Mars, and then a lot of immigrants who look black. So the line isn't as clear as it used to be when it comes to pop, when it comes to what's out there and what's being popular. Now, the pop artist is Jay-Z. The pop artist is Drake, someone who looks like us, you know? The pop artists are these people, Sexy Red, Cardi B. These people would have never been pop artists in the 80s because yeah, Drake would have been pop artist because Drake ain't nothing but a goddamn modern version of Pat Boone and the fucking Bee Gees and goddamn Boy George and whatever other white milk toast watered down artists we've seen play our music. But we have that we don't have that clear line of distinction like we used to. So I think different that kind of makes it tougher. Because we should know better. We really should. But when you look at previous generations, didn't outside of Stevie Wonder here in the '70s, it was Stevie Wonder, Earth and the Fire kind of crossed over a little bit. In the '80s, Michael Jackson and Prince and Whitney Houston and Lionel Richie. Then later on, Luther Vandross crossed over later on in the '80s. But that was always seen as the exception, not the rule. So in a lot of ways, I thought about that. It's a little tougher for us to see who is who. But go ahead and finish your thought, dog. And if anybody else want to speak, raise your hand and get your thoughts on this whole. Because I'm gonna get deeper into our actors and rappers responsible for what they put out. We just on a surface level right now, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, but plus it's not only that, it's a lot of other people saying it. Like it's this one young cat, I think he's like in his early 20s, and like basically he was talking about Sexy Red and all that. That he said that her music sucks, and like he said, her music sucks, and she shouldn't have made it big as she is. And I also agree with that. I met her and all that shit. Like, there's no way. I feel like she shouldn't have blowed up neither the way she did, but it's the main industry. We don't have control over that shit. So, like, it's my main spiel on it. That's all I want to say. That it's like it's out of our hands. We got control over the culture, but they got control over the entertainment world of showing the world. So it kind of fucks us over to a certain point of the degree, if we try to bring out some people with actual talent. So it's just my main point I wanted to bring up.
Thank you for that. Um, what I'll do is as people come up to speak, I'll remove you. But if you want to speak again, brother, raise your hand. We'll bring you right back up. So yeah, if you want to speak again, just hit the invite button. But yeah, it's Eva. Did you have any follow up on what he just said?
I kind of like what he was talking about. He said he met Sexy Red. I wonder what those experiences are like. Some of these entertainers, I hate calling them entertainers, but some of these people who are in the spotlight, I'm just very curious as to how they are as a real person. You see some of them and you want to say that it's just a character that they've put on, right? Like that's not them. I like to think about Snoop because I know he smokes, and not like I've ever smoked with Snoop or that I've ever been around Snoop smoking, but just I know that. Okay, I guess I would have to say that I would assume that he is a smoker, right? But then I don't know if he's like this stoner that's gone, that stereotype that everybody wants to put on weed people or people who smoke weed. I think it's a character and real. And I think that maybe there's a middle ground that people in the spotlight can ride without it being phony or looked that bad. But at the end of the day, like he was saying, a lot of them are just plants. They're just put there because we don't control the industry. So they're going to put what they want, and then they're also going to buy it, but they're not going to tell you that they're buying it because we look at numbers and then we see, oh, this looks popular. Kind of like another conversation we had a couple weeks ago, right? That we look at that stuff. We look at the facts and the math and the digits and the streams, and then we'll start to legitimize people who aren't even real, like they were a plant from the start.
That's true. We've gotten so caught up into painting by the numbers and allowing those folks to dictate to us who's hot and who's not. And we used to have a much stronger critical ear. I remember going back to the title of our artist responsible for what they say. I got to look at somebody like a George Clinton. George Clinton Walk of Fame tomorrow. I just remembered. Oh hell yeah, I'm going out there. George Clinton, he's getting his star on the Walk of Fame tomorrow. About 35 years too, but he's still getting it. That's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I forgot all about that shit till just now. Hell yeah, I'm be with the funk. But anyway, um, George Clinton, as you get into the 70s and into the later 70s, disco is the sound. That's the sound everybody's on. That's the sound that's selling the most records. Parliament Funkadelic was, when you listen to their early days, they were a rock band. They did a lot of rock, and they did a lot of real deep metaphysical messages within their music. Really deep metaphysical messages they had, and they started to evolve, and they started to incorporate more funk and become more of a funk based band. They started out actually before they were rock. They were a doo wop band. Singers, the Parliament Singers. I said that to say Parliament Funkadelic could play whatever the fuck sound they wanted to play. If they wanted to in 1976 when disco got to its height, they could have played some disco and conformed to the sound. But they didn't. It was too commercial. George Clinton was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want this stamp on my band's resume doing this disco shit, knowing it's getting too commercial." And he didn't. And the faster music got, the more disco-y music got, the more funky Parliament Funkadelic got. When disco came out, Parliament Funkadelic responded with One Nation Under a Groove. And then disco got hotter, they responded with Not Just Needy, Aqua Boogie. All these songs make my funk the P Funk. That music got slower, and you look at over time, that band is still immortalized more so than hotter disco bands of the time. So in a lot of ways, as an artist, you got to be, you have to take accountability as to what direction your music go. Following the trends, or are you doing what's hot? And these are all things that artists think about. And so going back to Marlon Wayans, what he said with the original topic of what we're talking about, he was saying that artists don't think in terms of responsibility, of being responsible for what they say. And I was just thinking about that. Like, my pushback to that is yes, they do. Yes, they do. Plenty of artists out there really do think about the impact of what they're saying, and it doesn't have to be every song. They ain't got to be preachy, but they do consider the impact of what they have to say. So Martin coming out saying that he has basically he can create, he's creating all day, but he's not thinking about the impact of his creation. Nigga, that is artistically, in my opinion, irresponsible. You know what I mean? You create because words can either build or they can destroy. Images are going to build or destroy. And when you're putting out shit like a whole bunch of movies with niggas in dresses, yeah, on the surface level, yada yada yada, crack jokes, yippee. But underneath, nigga, it's destruction. With niggas love playing innocent as if they're like, oh, I didn't know, I'm just over here entertaining. Nah, motherfucker. Why can't these goddamn artists, kind of person, like, look, let's start holding these niggas accountable because propaganda courses are out there. They can afford propaganda courses better more than any of us, Marlon Wayans. Why don't you? Why don't things? Why can't artists be held to account to at least be educated on their own field and the impact of their jobs on the watcher and the listener? Is that asking too much, Eve, to hold these artists responsible for their point for their this whole thing with the information being all the way out there on what they do and back to what they do?
Look, I think every day that people who have cell phones, the excuses start to run out. The cell phone is like a baby computer, right? And then we're using it for everything except for, well, not a lot, well, not you or me or maybe the intelligent black folks in this room, but a lot of people do not use it, as a tool as much as they're using it for entertainment. And I think that kind of wraps all into the same conversation because if people if the layman, if the Joe Blow or blue collar Phil or whatever isn't using the technology as a tool, then the entertainers are also not going to do that on a wide scale because they're just high paid employees. People are, people pedestalize these people because they're in the spotlight. I get that. But at the end of the day, why are you listening to them? What have they done or what have they said to impact your life in a way that makes you feel like their word has merit? But then, I think about how entertainment or music, makes us feel good or, gets us through a spot. So then people start connecting with these people in the spotlight and now it's bigger than that, right? So I do think that there is a responsibility for that entertainer or artist to know some things, but I just feels like an uphill battle because of what we see every day. I mean, shit, what we see every day in these spaces, people have access to information and they don't give a damn. They're just, 2 + 2 is 5. Nope, can't tell me nothing else. 2 + 2 is 5 because I said it.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I was over here. I'm over here trying to change the title because 'cause I was 1 second, 1 second. I'll come back to that. Well, anyway, so I want to transition to the whole wearing the dress part of the whole thing. And when it comes to the act, we talk about music.
One, one,
Yeah,
one, one.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, One of my favorite movies from childhood is Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm
Uh
sorry. When Robin Williams played a woman, I thought that was hilarious. Just
huh.
you can sue me, be mad at me or whatever. I thought that was the funniest shit. But when when our dudes were doing it, whether it was Shanae, Medea, Rasputia. I don't know. That shit's not funny to me. Like, I mean, I get it, but it's not funny to me. And I'm sorry. I need to throw that out before you started.
And I'm glad you said that because look, the way I see it, it's always been case by case. I never thought Wanda was funny. I thought Shanae was hilarious. I wasn't a huge fan of some of those like of Big Mama's house, but I love Norbit. Norbit was funny than a motherfucker to me. Nigga, when she you do it, nigga. I love that shit. I'm over here like I'm not here to say I don't like to paint things with a broad brush. And I also like to look at the overallness of someone's career, what they put out. You know what I mean? A little bit of everything. Because I understand one thing. When you're living in a system that you don't control, in order for something to make it through, they're gonna have to do things that the rest of us might deem like, I think this is part of the consequence of living in a system that you don't control. I think it's a guarantee that your all time favorite people are going to do some things that you're going to be like, no, you know. Miss Fire was cool. I didn't. I saw that when it came out. I liked it. I never looked at white dudes in dresses in any kind of way because when they're white, these are the Greco Romans. You know what I mean? This is their society. This is what the fuck they do. If you look at the Greco-Roman society, they dookie fuck. That's how they get down. You know what I mean? That's all good. Caligula and shit. That's their goddamn. And for them, they've always had an agreement with that kind of stuff. But it seems like with us, you know what I mean? The black entertainer, all the ones that get to the top, they do at some point wear a dress. Even my favorite of all time, Eddie Murphy. He's my all-time favorite. He rocked the dress. And he did a damn job too in the ones that he did. Even though Nutty Professor has always been on the lower level of my favorite of my Eddie Murphy movies. I've only seen like that's the two Nutty Professor movies were the only Eddie Murphy movies I've only seen like once or twice. All the other movies like Traces and goddamn Harlem Nights, I done seen them hoes a good 150, 200 times. Over I love that shit. Beverly Hills Cop, that's my shit. That's the Golden Child. Yeah. But you know, I so like on one hand, I'm saying I get it, I understand. Within the system, there are gonna be people that we know and love that are gonna do things that we kind of every now and again it's gonna kind of be like, at the end of the day, I'm not looking for my entertainers to be my salvation. But the reason why I'm having this talk is when you go so far as to make excuses for the dress and then turn around and say, "Oh, that's because something wrong with people." No, motherfucker. You made the decision to get a dress. You got paid a lot of money for it. Cool. That's not time for you to come around and talk shit to the rest of us black people because we got something to say about your ass. We get you represent our face when you out there. We're going to have something to say. A lot of these niggas, that's a lot of these niggas out here, a lot of black dudes. A lot of niggas, especially the ones that talking shit about other societies, white folks and everything else, them niggas just mad because they ain't white themselves. Everybody want their own turn at wagging their finger at black people, especially other black people. You know what I mean? Like I don't have it in front of me, but in the interview, Marlon talks about how we the only people that criticize their group for wearing a dress. And I was like, shit, the Mexicans, some Asians are goddamn two knife your ass into 57 pieces for wearing a goddamn dress. We don't do all that. We just talk a little bit of shit. And it's the whole excuse making thing of wearing the dress that cats need to come off of. If you wear a dress to make your money, don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining. Don't tell me I don't see what I see. To me, Eve, that's the big issue. And if one of y'all want to speak, go ahead and raise your hand. But Eve, what did you think about it from that point of view?
No, that's real. that kind of goes into kind of a conversation, I guess, this whole year. I know it's only very new year, but just, do you, but don't try to shit or piss on anybody else as far as better than, right? Or you're doing more than. I think that judgy thing gets us every time. Um, People don't pay other people's bills, right? Like you said, you wore a dress for a check, you got your check. Okay, now some niggas might have something to say about that, right? And you should be prepared to take it, especially a comedian. I feel like y'all have a whole other role to let things either slide or react to. So, to get sensitive, that's interesting. But is he the baby? Is he the youngest?
I think he is the youngest.
So there might be something else going on there.
Hey. And see, the thing, like, when it comes to it is comedians are the most sensitive motherfuckers you ever want to be around. These niggas is sensitive as shit. Like, you would think that being a comedian, you can you would think that being a comedian, you these people could take as dish. Anything can be further from the truth. Comedians are the most sensitive motherfuckers you'd ever want to be around. These niggas talk a lot but can't take a goddamn thing in return. And we see that here. They could call people out, they could be big and bad on that stage. But I'm telling you right now, most of these comedians are soft as hell as far as like their ability to take what they dish out. And it's actually funny to see. Um, and that I think that goes back into being responsible for whatever art that you put out. See, these cats, everybody, it's a human need to for approval. Okay, it's a human need to be approved, especially by those within your group, within your social circle, and with those within your family circle. And the thing is, approval were at one point in our society, and still in society, there are standards that people have. There are people out there with standards, and what happens is people want to get their money. They want to be in the spotlight. They want everything that comes with all of the fringe benefits that come with being an entertainer, with being a creator, but they don't want to deal with the consequences. Us talking shit about this dress, like Cat Williams coming out talking about the dress. I'm so glad that black comedians and black society as a whole will not leave that dress thing alone because that's not something that's natural to us. Like, you ever hang around white boys? White boys have fun punching each other in the balls. We don't do that. Like, fellas, anything, hit me with an
One,
emoji,
one.
fellas. We don't do that. Go ahead, Eve.
My brother went to an all boy high school. I went to an all girl high school. Go figure. And anyway, some of the stuff that he would come home and tell us, like my parents had to tell him straight up, like, mm-mm. Like, and he would, because I guess it's just the culture is accepted. It's just a lot of gay shit. So my parents had to tell him, if
Did he go
somebody
to?
smacks you on your
Did he go to a
ass
white?
or
Did he go to like a white school?
yeah, it's a private school,
Oh, yeah,
mainly,
yeah.
mainly white. There, it's a little bit of diversity. It's a
I know what you
huge
mean.
school, but essentially, we still definitely the minority at that school, and that gay culture, because they'll say that they're not gay, right? But it's a lot of ball smacking and ass grabbing, and it's just so strange that it's just so accepted. And but they're not gay, and then if you are gay, then that's a whole other situation for them because they don't actually accept that. It's very strange one.
Yeah, like these be like, I remember here in L.A. One of the Laker greats. I call him a Laker great. He's a former general manager of the Lakers, and he played for the Lakers back in the '80s. This white dude named Mitch Kupchak. So I remember these white boys I used to be around in college, they used to have something that they would call, and then the other one say cup check, and then cup check they would grab the whoever whatever white man that was close to them, they grab their balls, and I remember seeing that shit in college. I remember telling them motherfuckers, you cup check me, I'm a hospital check your bitch ass. You took they no, don't nigga don't man. There ain't no cup checks around here, motherfucker. And they never fucked with me on that shit. Um, but I remember some of the white boys in college would do the cup check. It would be funny to it would be no, being an observer, it was funny. They'd be like, Mitch, cup check. And it would be silly fun when I was like 20 watching the white boys do that. As long as they didn't do that to me. You know? Because we don't and we as black look at these white boys. They like MMA, and no disrespect to the brothers in here who like martial arts. Ain't watching no motherfucking sport where the dudes ground and pound. Like that's the name of a move. You got two dudes wrestling in little biker shorts, each other in rear naked chokeholds. I don't want to see nobody lose a fight that bad, nigga. I love boxing because boxing cats got gloves on. You know, some space between the two. They hit them. Like MMA, they be over there kind of weird ass. And when you watch the dudes that are in the MMA, again, y'all, but I've gone to a couple MMA shindigs and I've been like, yo, man, y'all a little bit too much over here. Boxing, I mean, it still be people and shit at the boxing party that tough. And women they want to come kick it. I know each time I throw a boxing fight party at my house, I easily have 10, 15 women over here. And because yeah, but MMA, that's like a dude weirdo fest off too many times. Again, not all you niggas, but I still look at this shit. Same thing with wrestling. Grown men that watch WWF wrestling, like that shit was dope as fuck when I was in high school, in middle school. Hulk Hogan, The Rock. But when I graduated high school, it was like, oh yeah, yeah, done. Like on to the next. And so, but again, other cultures that's somewhat normative behavior. A lot of that weirdo shit. In black society, that shit ain't cool. My thing is these entertainers go back to what Marlon Wayans said, and a lot of entertainers that give excuses for the dress, they want to be able to make their money without having to be responsible for how they make their money. And it's on us as a society to make sure that look, we can't control whether or not Hofkowitz is going goddamn Tavon Diggs to play a nigger gay person as they like to say. I can't control that part. What I can control is Billy Porter. What's this dude's name we talking about? From Billy Porter to Wans to Ty Terry. You want to keep playing these goddamn roles? I can't stop them motherfuckers from hiring you, but I can have some control in the perception of you by the people you're looking for as a fan base. And I think we as a people we have power in this situation. I think that Steve Martin Wayans responding the way he responded, that shows you the way. And then people look how overt people came out on Cat Williams' side. Let's go back for a second. When Cat talked about dudes and dresses, when Cat talked about this small circle of people who likes to X everything else out. The reason why 50 goddamn million views, because we've all dealt with that shit at work. We've dealt with it at church. We live in our social circles. People who having some sort of a status or whatever, whatever. You know, Xing out those who don't. We've seen this shit out over and over and over again in our lives. And I think that's a major reason why that interview popped off the way it did and the way a lot of us do it. And a lot of the people that Cat Williams was talking about that were a lot of the people that he was talking about and situations that he was talking about, those cats are now on their heels because they thought that being in the old boys club was going to insulate them from any high level of backlash. But we see here in 2024, in this Eight of Hearts year, Nigga, that shit, you ain't gonna be able to sit in the pocket in the back and do a whole bunch of dumb bullshit anymore. You gonna have to be held to account for whatever it is you say you do. You know what I mean? So going on that, going so now I want to go in. Did you want to say anything about that on the dress part?
Just that what you were saying, it it's just so real. You completely took me back to like high school and just my brother and cousin just geeking off of the behavior, it was just so foreign to them. They'd never seen such a thing. Um, and then how serious my parents were about making sure that they do not participate, show them that it's acceptable, that they're comfortable, like that. And I never really asked why, but now at my very big age, I can understand the buck breaking aspect of it. And they weren't even able to articulate that at the time, but it's harmful when we put on the qualities and personalities of these other people and then we pass it on like it's ours. I think that they're expecting us to do things like that and then not question it. So I'm glad that some things have always been a point of contention for us.
And I want to like point out how as a people how proud I am of us as a people. They always tell us let's take a moment real quick, black folks. They always try to tell us that we have no culture, that our language, that we are just trying to get things together. And we all know. I'll tell you this: we got enough of a culture that sees men in dresses and foul behavior and bad music being put on the radio. We have enough culture to call that and not accept it. How about that? Like, think about this stuff right now when we're talking about like what's being played on the radio. Have black folks ever just openly accepted and just was just cool what was put on the radio as far as these degenerate lyrics? I remember when I was a kid, there was a lady named C. Dolores Tucker, and she was talking about all of the lyrics in Luke's music, NWA, and a lot of the vulgarity within hip hop because music wasn't vulgar before the '80s. Well, before the late '80s, honestly, it was. Matter of fact, labels wouldn't even allow you to release anything vulgar like that. As far as our music goes, now white folks they had country outlaw, they had punk rock, and these forms of music that they used for violence, and had all kind of violent lyrics. Just listen to some of them country outlaw songs by Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings. Talk about some fucking thug music. They the OGs of thug music, them country artists. But that's another story. When it comes to our music, that wasn't never an issue because we were wholesome people. Especially when we owned our radio station, about much more wholesome. But it became a late '80s. But from the day it became a thing, since Straight Outta Compton dropped, all I heard was people like Al Sharpton back in the day, not Al Sharpton. Talk about the old fat Al Sharpton, long perm shag, that Al Sharpton. The one we used to always get confused with Jesse Jackson, that Al Sharpton. You know, they used to always, what's up, Hood News? Um, they used to always come in there and 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 have something to say. Like we as the churches, I remember as a kid, churches, we used to have goddamn youth services talking about how dangerous our music was. Like, you young kids are listening to that rap, the hip and the hop and the boop and the bop. Yeah, I remember all them old niggas saying that shit when we was kids. It was that shit was never accepted in our society. Never all the way open, all the way accepted. We've always had high levels of pushback. I won't even say some levels of pushback. We've always had extremely high levels of pushback when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we as a society, they've been trying to break us down over the last 30 years to really openly accept it. And it's still a contingent of us, a lot of us, who are now older in our 40s. I'm in my 40s, who aren't. going to accept that shit. So I think that says a lot to us as a society, to that we still have we still have a group of us that don't think that shit is cool. You know what I mean? But further into it, so now I'm gonna go now and talk about the whole rapper side of it. That rapper D1. Y'all know who D1 is? I just became familiar with him recently through all of his interviews, and for the most part, listen, I respect what that brother has to say. You know what I mean? I do. He got that New Orleans Zydeco accent. And y'all know I hate Zydeco music. Oh my god! If if the Lord could take back the music Black people created, it would be bluegrass, yodeling, and Zydeco. Let's take, like, if we can wipe anything off the map that we created. No disrespect, I love you Zydeco loving people out there, but I hate Zydeco. But um, anyway, when it comes down to it, D1 has been saying something. He says a lot of dope stuff about rap and hip hop. He says a lot of dope stuff. Don't be putting your thumbs down. I'm just telling you the truth. That's all. um, she requested Eve. Don't let her up. Um, anyway, um, so like,
I thought the one she told me she was hanging mirrors. She said she was busy tonight.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna take a pause for this one. Dwan, Dwan, you gonna make me catch a flight. I'm gonna have to catch a flight, man. Come on now. Zydeco is one of the best forms of music there is.
I swear to God, if I hear somebody with a washboard playing music, I want to punch him in that chest and see how thick that washboard really is. I
You
swear to
need to
God, I hate the
stop.
washboard.
Just stop, Dwan. Come on now.
Mhm.
He hates on Go-Go too. I just feel like that our coast has a different energy than
Go-go ain't
their
shit.
coast, and it's okay, right?
Now I can't catch the beat of go go. When we were in DC and we went to the club, I was trying my best. I was like, wait a minute, wait, they didn't switch the beat up on me. I can't even catch this. But
Man, the only go-go song I like is "Busting Out" and "Doing the Butt." Outside of that, yeah, that go-go shit.
Stop. Where is Empress? Where are my people?
They,
I do
they,
like Sexy Lady. That's the only one that I can
I'm
really.
saying, come on, you can't hate on
Okay,
Sexy Lady.
I'm not gonna hate because Dwan's just Dwan being a hater right now, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to catch me a flight to LA.
I'm sorry, but we're not gonna all like everything. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I appreciate it, and I got family from Louisiana, Lake Charles area. You know what I mean? But that was 100 years ago. I can't. We've been
Uh-uh. We're gonna revoke
we
your Louisiana card. Uh-uh.
we've been in LA since the 30s, since the 1930s. So hey, but
Okay, I love y'all. I'm gonna go drop back down and finish listening and hanging my mirrors.
all right, Isla. I'm gonna get into D1, but I see we got Marco Smith up here. Before I go into what I was gonna say about D1 and what he said, Marco, you got your hand up. Go ahead,
Dewan B,
brother.
me and you. First of all, hello everybody. Dewan B, me and you gonna fight about that go-go stand. Cause let me tell you something right now, brother.
Uh,
I come from a long line. I came from listening to Rare Essence 3 in the morning at the Pancake House. I grew up in Southeast DC near Hackensack Mall, brother. You ain't
That's right,
brother.
Marco. Get
Dewan,
him,
you my
Marco.
brother. Just Eve, I
Never
love
thought
y'all,
I'd
but
say
I swear to God, Dewan B, you say something like go-go, I'm gonna beat you like buckets on concrete. I swear to God.
that.
Okay, now
You
let me
can't
say
be up
this.
here salting the
hey,
hopes
Now let me
like
Marco,
say
that,
this real quick because
Marco.
I'm gonna be real quick because I know
go ahead,
I could be
brother.
all over the place, but let me just stick to the subject at hand. Now, as far as what you first of all, let me give shout out to Cat Williams for going out like Tony Montana sending a million shots, except nobody was firing shots back. Noticed that, and because just like he said, he does what a lot of us like what I'm trying to do now, like collect knowledge and then spread the knowledge. When you hear thought provoking and real message and truth, you spread it towards the people because our people are in desperate need of truth. Now, as far as what Marlon Wayans said about um, men disliking dresses. I didn't see the interview, but as far as this whole black men in dresses, it's all pure buck breaking. If you saw the movie made by Tariq Nasheed and Brother Reza Islam, you will understand what real buck breaking is. And it's not just a man choosing to be in a dress. And this has been going on in Hollywood for decades, ever since Urkel put on a dress and his father fought for him to wear a dress. No, let that boy wear a dress, which I don't understand at all. Um, because why in the world would a grown man let their child want their son to see want their son to wear a dress? I don't understand that at all.
Money.
Right,
Money
money. That's a
cut.
check,
Some
right?
some
Fuck the
parents literally
kids, right?
prostitute their children in Hollywood, but that's a whole other story. But um, But like, yeah, it's just that as far as what you said, Dewan, about pushback, absolutely. Like the community, black community, have to be willing what we're going to accept. Like, for example, we damn sure ain't going to accept these migrants being here. That's number one. We're not going to accept our men to be emasculated. It's pure emasculation of the black man, and it starts. You get them as children, and then you confuse them until they when they grow into adults. But real quick, it's just we gotta just stand strong and stand tall on what we mean because as far as black people, we for the most part have always had real sense. Like we know what to do and what not to do from the law to just in general in society. But let me go ahead and see what everybody else thinks. Tell me what y'all think. With that being said, my G5 is landed and my feet are planted. Everybody stay blessed, black and highly favored. Peace.
Yes, sir. You have a go, man. And I want to make sure to the DC people out there, look, I love Washington, DC. Had a great goddamn time in Washington, DC. I cannot wait to go back to Washington, DC. I cannot wait to go back um to Washington, DC. Thank you for that. Thank you again for that, Marco. But when it comes down to it, I don't like go-go. Like, I'm from LA and I don't like gangster rap like that. I don't. I never have. Like I was people tell you all the time. I don't talk about it much because a lot of you niggas just people the hip hop listener is so goddamn immature in so many ways. And when you say things, they think that's a blanket statement about everything. So I just don't talk about it. But I don't listen to Tupac like that. I like the Chronic. It was cool. It was a great album. I appreciate it for what it was. Doggy Style was great. But my favorite Snoop album is the Blue Carpet Treatment and then Rhythm and Gangster. And you know, when he moved away from a lot of the themes he was talking about early on in his career. I've never been a big fan of shoot 'em, kill music, even though it's LA, even though a lot of that comes out of LA. But I do love LA style R&B. You know, I love LA conscious rap. Ice Cube. I like LA message music like Ice Cube and Kendrick and Nipsey. There's more LA message music type stuff. I don't like that shit that we put out. So we could not like parts of what cities put out and still be cool with the city. I love my city, but I don't really fuck with gangster rap like that. Never have. Not even back in '93. You know, back in '93, back in '94, I was way much more on what Outkast was talking about than anything from the gangster segment. When Tupac came to Death Row, that shit actually annoyed me because now that I dislike Tupac, I just saw all them old niggas that had two-parent households and lived in Ladera Heights talking about cuz this and cuz that. Meanwhile, I'm over here living in a hood trying to go to the go to the other neighborhoods to get a better education. And you got these niggas these black kids in the better neighborhoods trying to act like they come from where I come from. So I hated that era, honestly. Um, and so that's my thought. But I'm gonna get into the gangster because I do want to talk about that extensively with D1. But different has his hand up. I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say different, and then I'm gonna turn this boat to what D1 said. Go ahead.
I'm not trying to stir the conversation, but what's Zydeco music? Is it that shit that Steve Urkel was playing?
Mm, yep, it has a stupid ass accordion. It got a stupid ass washboard, stupid ass chords, at a stupid ass tempo that make you do stupid ass dances. I remember when I was in New Orleans, like, man, where are the cover bands at? Can I get a cover band that's gonna play some non-Zydeco? Give me some Ohio funk, man. Like, I ain't gotta be LA, man. I
That
fucks with
sounds
Ohio.
fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's a fucking accordion. It's a whole bunch of it's that Popeyes. It's that music from goddamn Popeyes. Every time you think you about to go get a goddamn leg in the thigh and some seasoned fries from Popeye, you gotta hear some goddamn accordion and a nigga in a washboard and some fucking spoons playing a whole bunch of stupid ass sounds at a stupid ass tempo and that stupid ass. I remember, I'll never forget. I was in New Orleans for All Star Weekend right after Hurricane Katrina. I went out there. That's back when Chris Paul was playing for the Hornets still. I had courtside seats. Like because that that one guy. If you ever watch NBA games, you know the one guy, I forgot his name real quick, but they always show on TNT. It'd be a white dude sitting on the sideline with like rhinestones and like cowboy boots with a hat on. It's always a weird looking white dude. I got his seats because in those seats in New Orleans, he didn't want to sit there, so he left in the second quarter. So I moved down to his seats, and I had courtside seats, and I was over here waiting for the halftime show and everything. You know what I mean? Good game, and then when it got to entertainment. Man, they play some fucking Zydeco. Man, if I didn't get my ass up so goddamn fast, like
I
fuck
can't
these
take it
courtside
no
seats.
more.
I thought that
I
that was
can't
like
take it.
Cajun music though. Like it's black people that made that music.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
telling
Wait.
you,
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, I'm about to leave the space. My soul is cringing right
I
now to
heard
hear
of
y'all
it, but I
talk so
never
bad.
heard it. Like, well, if it's that type of music, they bogus for that.
Mm-mm. Uh, Dwan, I'm.
go
Oh
ahead, Isla.
man.
Go ahead, Isla.
Oh, y'all got my blood is boiling.
Mhm.
Y'all cannot be talking about Zydeco like that.
Uh, it's just I'm sorry. I just black people we ain't perfect. That's all I got to say.
Do they
No.
blow in the beer bottles too?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, is
Like
that it?
I'm so done with y'all. Oh
all I
goodness.
all I
Like they
gotta
used to
say
do out the
is
Looney Tunes.
Uh-uh.
all I gotta say is black folks are not perfect, and Zydeco is proof. That's all I'm saying.
No, Zydeco is perfect. I put something in the jumbotron for the guy that say he never heard it.
I swear to God, when I was in New Orleans, for All Star Weekend, they had some people come out with an umbrella doing some stupid ass Zydeco dance. I swear to God, it took everything in me not to spill my hurricane drink on that floor so the motherfucker slip and fall and bust his ass. I swear to God, it took everything in me. If that drink didn't cost so much, the cool thing about New Orleans, it wasn't that expensive, but still, it was $20. Shit, I want if I didn't feel like if I swear to God, I would have. I hate
Okay, so
Zydeco.
I'm trying to support the space. I really am, but I'm gonna turn my
I
voice.
got
I'm
you.
gonna have to turn my phone all the way on mute.
Okay, I'm done talking about Zydeco. I'm about to transition. I'm about to transition off
Okay.
Zydeco. All right,
I'm gonna drop down.
all right, for sure, for sure. Go-Go ain't shit, y'all. So if you in DC and you listening to Go-Go and you hear some nigga with a band with drums and 15 cowbells and a whole bunch of people going, ooh, yeah, yeah, you will not see my black ass there. That party is stupid. Um, I'm just fucking with y'all. I'm just fucking with y'all. But I just put the thumbs down. Different. Did you want to say something quick before I transition to what D1 had to say?
The only thing that I was gonna ask was I heard of it, but I never heard the music. But I thought that that was Cajun music. I didn't know black people made that.
Oh yeah. Black people down there, catfish and crawfish eating ass niggas. With crab and sausage in the bag and anandule and all that shit that they be eating down there. It's them niggas whose fingernails smell like red snapper bottoms. You dig? That's their music. Like if you smell like the fish market, fried shrimp and salt water from the Mississippi, then you like Zydeco.
Bubba shrimp.
Yeah, that's that shit right there. I'm West Coast, nigga. I can't fuck with it.
Midwest.
But yeah,
I can't fuck with it either.
Isla left. Tell Isla to come back. I'm just having fun. I'm about to go talk about something else. Even invite Isla back. I'm done talking about Zydeco. I'm just having fun.
She coming. She coming. I had to watch the thing in the jumbo. I just, uh, uh, hmm. It's so we're so creative. We're such a
Are.
creative people. I just love us. Isla, that's what you say, right? Okay, I'm
I
done.
do. The fact that we can make an instrument. Think about how we are. Shit talking aside when it comes to Zydeco. Think about how dope we are as a people to turn a fucking washing board into an instrument. Don't get me wrong. I hate that instrument. I hate listening to it. But I get it. We literally turn everything around us, anything at our disposal, we turn into the instrument. Like the diddly bow. I talked about this in my documentary. It's bigger than hip hop, the Black American Music Family Tree. You can catch it right now on YouTube. I talked about the diddly bow. The diddly bow is a piece of wood, an old huge can, or if not a can, a brick. And you get a piece of hay wire. And you tie that hay wire to a brick stump at the bottom, supported by a block of wood, and you get it and you tighten it, and it's one string. So for those of you who watch that cartoon, remember Tom and Jerry cartoon? When dude would come around singing, "Is you is or is you ain't my baby." Remember when the dog was singing that? First off, the dog was imitating Louis Armstrong. When we go cartoons back in the day, our cartoons were imitating black music at the time. We just didn't know it. But when he was saying "Is you is" or "Is you ain't my baby," they were imitating Louis Armstrong. But you saw him playing. He would grab a string. Well, that was the other one. Oh, leading right, Crambo. Remember him? He would take Tommy and pluck a string out of his nose. That's kind of what we would do. But the diddly bow, when you would see the dog playing that "Is you is" or "Is you ain't my baby," you would see him just grab a string and put it on a piece of wood. That was a diddly bow. They were imitating black people who were in the sharecropping game, who during our free times would grab a diddly bow, will make a diddly bow out of haywire and make music in between time. That's our culture. So we literally made instruments out of a piece of haywire and a fucking washing board. Yet they want to tell us that we got our music from Africa. That's why I push back so hard at that. Because Africa didn't bring us shit. Them motherfuckers didn't bring a ship of a goddamn water and supplies. They ain't do nothing. They got at least the Americans to drop off some goddamn rice for your ass. Africa ain't gave us no goddamn rice. And I'm not against the Pan-Africanness. I'm with people from the diaspora. I love the diaspora. Make it very clear. I am not one of these niggas running my mouth talking about we need to split. I believe we're stronger together. But at the same time, stronger together means you take credit for your accomplishments, I'll take credit for mine, and we can find ways that we can fuse your thing and my thing. But you ain't about to come over here and take my thing. Now, when my grandparents had to struggle through all this shit, my great granddaddy had to pick up a diddly bow because Africa didn't send no fucking support to us. So I don't want to hear none of that bullshit when people want to talk about, well, why are you talking about Africa? Well, show me a time that Africa brought us some shit to help us out. We were in this goddamn Holocaust that we've been in. Then I'll talk about Africa. But we've had exclusive, even the ones who were sent from Africa, we've been cut off far long. We've been cut off generations and generations. It only takes one generation or 20 years to lose any bit of information. 20 something not said for 20 years is gone forever. So I don't want to hear no shit about some people coming here in the 16 and then in 1976 when we make by funk the P funk, you gonna tell me that's African? Hell nah. Kiss my black ass. I'm gonna defend that. But back to what we're talking about, going to the rapper D1. D1 was asked about NWA, and he said that first off, he said that really was before his times his time, so he really didn't know too many details. And on the other hand, he was saying that they shouldn't be you know, they shouldn't be immortal basically because they introduced and popularized gangster rap. And when the fact is, they didn't introduce gangster rap. Matter of fact, what's his name out of Philadelphia? He was doing gangster rap before NWA. I'm drawing a blank. That Philly rapper. Help me out. I forgot his name, but um, he was doing rap, gangster rap before NWA. And NWA, when it comes to gangster rap, even though I was talking shit, talking about it, I'm not the biggest fan of gangster rap. Gangster rap isn't what hurt our society. The conditions hurt our society. The war on drugs. When we talk about are artists, entertainers responsible for their art, that's a complicated question. Because on one hand, yes, you are definitely responsible for what you're saying, but at the same time, if what you're saying is a reflection of what you're seeing, then from my point of view, that's a shared responsibility. And a lot of these people who like to go around and talk about the rappers and talk about hip hop and say, "Oh, it did this, did that," they don't like to share the responsibility and talk about the conditions that made that. I think most of the people that be talking shit, especially a lot of them East Coast niggas that be talking shit about NWA, is because you're mad when NWA came around, they fucking knocked your ass off the block. That's really what it is with a lot of these motherfuckers. NWA kicked a lot of these niggas off the block, off number one, off the head honcho position, and they never got over it. So they want to blame the gangster shit. So I think part of it, them blaming gangster rap is cap. The other part is just a constant, steady drum beat of only focusing on the music and no focus on the conditions that started the music. So when we talk about our entertainers responsible for their art, I think one thing we got to do is make sure that we also balance and incorporate that with the conditions that created a society for that particular art form to exist. You know what I mean? So if we're talking about music like we're talking about, say, trap music. I'm not a fan of trap music. I don't really fuck with trap music like that. The beat of trap, I've never liked. I appreciate Ti for his artistry. I think he is an artist, but Ti can't keep my attention past 2 minutes. That music, trap music, just doesn't do it for me. But it said a lot of things that that are harmful. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like they're not rapping about Ti is not rapping about conditions that was placed upon Atlanta at the time of his artistry that he was responding to that led him to the lifestyle that he led. So we gotta always have that balancing point between what they're talking about and understanding that America is a fucking drugged out nation. Like this place is drugged the fuck out. And the drugs, this place was drugged out before rap, it'll be drugged out after rap. When rap goes the way of ragtime, and it will, when hip hop goes the way of previous forms of black music, Negro spirituals, and it will, what are they gonna blame then? You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that we balance these conversations with what is going on in society. When you talk about all these men wearing dresses, well, it's a lot of cake ass shit that doesn't happen to a lot of our people. You know what I mean? I'm not saying all of it's not funny. Like I told you before, Norbert to me is funny than a motherfucker. But when you see that being put out there and people volunteering to do it, I understand the heartbreak. I understand a lot of the things the societal things that went into your art. But at the same time, like the dress wearing niggas, like the gangster rap niggas, like the trap niggas and drill niggas, yes, there is a society that breeded an environment for you to make music that way. But these things have always existed. And we've always had artists who've gone through these trials and tribulations and still talked about love. We've always had artists, we like looking back, go back to the 60s and the 50s, the Temptations and the Four Tops. You don't think them brothers went through some things? Moving from being part of the great migration from the south to the north, working in those Detroit factories and all that racism that was going on. You don't think they had something to say in their music? You don't think that? Huh? All the shit that our grandparents went through, they couldn't have, you don't think they was mad? You don't think that they were angry? Them niggas didn't even have social security. Your mama grew up in the projects, free rent, and government cheese, and you still mad. You go back to somebody like a goddamn Louis Armstrong. He had to grow up on the streets, and because his mom wasn't around, and he had to open up his trumpet case and play that goddamn trumpet for change. And if he didn't get enough nickels and pennies and dimes in that trumpet case, he didn't eat. And he still found a way to sing "What a Beautiful World." So yeah, it's some societal shit that's going on, but you don't have to always be susceptible. Or if you are going to talk about what's going on, I think there should be some sort of balance, because people talk all the shit they want about NWA. I personally, when people talk really, really bad about NWA, I question how stupid they are, because NWA also said express yourself. NWA also said, Dr. Dre has a famous line that Eazy-E used against him. Yo, I stress. Yo, I don't smoke weed or cess because it give a nigga a fucked up head and don't think clearly. He said that. They never bring up that goddamn line in Straight Outta Compton when they want to talk about NWA. They don't talk about the song Dope Man. Matter of fact, I was in an argument with somebody about a year ago about saying that NWA wasn't that bad, and someone tried to use the song "Dope Man" against NWA, and I was like, listen to the lyrics of "Dope Man." They're talking about how the dope man is killing our society. The dope man is hurting people. The dope man is the reason why my mom might die, and if my mom dies because of the dope man, I'm gonna put a slug in your culo. Like, you really listen to NWA? Yeah, they talked about, yeah, sometimes Easy did say bomb don't pop that knocks his old ass out. But then the motherfuckers turned around and had a song called Something to Dance To, saying, nigga, gangsters still party sometime. That Straight Outta Compton album was full of balance. It talked about what was going on, but it also stressed what not to do. It also stressed that the drug dealing is not cool. Being the dope man, they never glorified being the dope man in that song, in that album. They talked about what the dope man is doing wrong. So when people want to go around and saying NWA this and gangster rap that, nigga, did you listen? And furthermore, when it comes to a lot of your artists, if you're going to talk about those kind of topics, I don't think no topic is off subject for any artist. You do have to express yourself. But I also think you have to balance, because for as gangster as your life can be, as bad as your experiences could be, yes, you got shot at, but you also got a mama who love you, or if you ain't got a mama who love you, you got a cousin, a girlfriend, a friend that's looked out for you. Everybody's gotten help from somebody, a pastor at church, a teacher. You can write music about that too. Everybody is going to a party, had a good time. You can write about that too. Everybody has had heartbreak because a woman you thought you was gonna be with fucks you up in your head and it hurts your feelings. You could think about that too. When it's all this bullshit, that's the problem, and that's where you got to be responsible for your art. I'm gonna let Eve reset it, and then we'll get to the speaker. Go ahead, Eve.
You've said so much, I don't even really know how to reset the room, except for we're having a broad discussion with regards to entertainers and their word. Are they responsible for what they say? And with regards to that, that would be their art. And then what they say as people. Um, I was thinking about what you were saying about D1. I had to do a little bit of research. He's older than me. And we kind of started the conversation with these phones and how they're little computers, and how maybe we're in an age where it might be unacceptable for some things to not be common knowledge at this point, or at least it's easy for you to access the information. And from what he was saying, he was like, well, I'm not old enough to have been able to witness, you know, stuff, but these are my thoughts. And, your thoughts are your thoughts. But I feel like our music has always been a response or a reflection of what's going on. And if that's the case, and like you were explaining earlier, how it wasn't glorifying as much as it was just kind of presenting life and the good and the bad, all of it. And because we're so creative and everybody kind of really meshes with how we tell stories, it's hot. So it's not, it's again, it's not that we're glorifying it as much as it's an energy that moves you and that has moved people. So I think, I don't know if we should take certain titles away from certain people as much as we should always be careful about, what's being presented as fact or law, and then, making sure that we're all responsible and accountable for what we say, because we're all people. Nobody should be higher than anybody at this point. All of these people in entertainment are people getting a check, unless they're out here doing it on their own. And then if they're doing it on their own, then, they've got their own obstacles and such in that arena. But the people we've been talking about are absolutely people getting a check. And when you start to question the behavior, maybe you don't have so many questions because you understand that they're doing it because they're getting paid to do it. Maybe they don't even um, agree with it per se. They wouldn't do it if it were for free. But I don't know. How much are you worth? I guess should be the question. I don't know. So, to the speakers, you can come up and speak. We would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions. If you babble, we will take the mic from you, but we we would love to hear some thoughts. Hannibal, you're on the stage.
Hello, hello. I like to say much love to everybody, all the B1 strong soldiers out there, and Dwan B, man, much love to you, bro, man. I'll tap in with you all the time. I be getting information. Um, One thing I wanted to say is that like this whole gangster stuff. Now, in the beginning, I remember because I'm an '80s baby, so you know what I mean. I grew up in like in early '90s getting involved with the hip hop. I remember, and I even see interviews. I was, you know, what I mean, I'm from New Jersey. You know, the Outlaws are from New Jersey. So during the '90s, the Outlaws from Tupac was real big. I remember in interviews, Tupac would say that he was really like trying to convert the people that's trying to get the image of the gangster away from the people that's like Dwan B that's not in this area that don't have to be placed against these odds to have to do. Now, one thing I just wanted to point out was like he like Tupac said he was talking about police brutality. Somewhere in the mix, they like that was mixed in with the whole gangster. So standing up for yourself and defending yourself, that people was that Tupac was pushing. NWA was talking about the stuff that they witnessed in their communities and was involved in, whatever may be the reason. But I just wanted to say, like, you know what I mean? It seemed like anytime a black man talk about standing up for himself, it was like gangster. So I'm like, and then I'll say I'm growing up in the '90s. I'm saying to myself, I'm saying, what's the difference between being gangster, being a man, standing up for yourself as a man, and doing something for clout as what they do now? You know what I mean? Because these kids got it confused. They do things that's crazy that lead them to death or jail to be looked at as a person in a defined way as brave. That they got that confused with this gangster stuff. But it's stupid to
Let
put
me.
your head on a chopping block.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
let
mean to
you.
babble.
I'm gonna let you finish your point. If I wanted to say
Mhm.
something, I'm gonna let you finish your point
Yeah, yeah,
because you brought up a good point.
yeah.
Where we get it confused. Remember when Ice Cube, was the primary writer behind Straight Outta Compton. Ice Cube's label for his music was message music, street knowledge. He even said that if you go back in America's Most Wanted, he was saying street knowledge. That's what we called it. We called it street knowledge. The entertainment industry came along and relabeled it gangster rap. And then after Ice Cube left NWA, Jerry Heller sent them niggas off the rails with 100 miles and running. But here's a point I always bring up to people. When it comes to 100 miles and running, that and Ice Cube's death certificate came out around the same time. They dropped their 100 miles and running. But the people decided who won the battle between NWA's point of view and Ice Cube's point of view with a song named No Vaseline. Ice Cube obliterated NWA, and they never recovered from that. So even though the NWA moved on to get more degenerate in their lyrics on 100 Miles and Running, that right there was more is what they use as an example of what gangster music is, not what it really was, and that's street knowledge. And they never play. I remember even in 1990, I was a kid. This is how bad it is, and I'm gonna let you finish your point. What's up, Ruben down there? But even as a kid, I would listen to them talk about gangster rap on the news all the time, and I thought it was bad. Talk about 1989, 1990, when I was 8, 9 years old. I remember on the nightly news, is gangster rap what's destroying America? And I remember seeing all the women on the news with the big old bouffant hair. Y'all know how ladies, how y'all wore y'all hair back in the 80s with the big ass bouffants and shoulder pads. Every lady on the news had shoulder pads on, so it made it look hella serious. And they all looked like Suzanne Summers, everybody on the news. And they would sit back and they would talk about gangster rap. And then you had these old white men like Phil Donahue with silver hair, and talking about, and it'd be very serious. So even at the time when street knowledge message music was music that we were listening to, even before NWA 100 Miles and Running, it got degenerate, real degenerate there. I remember listening to the news and them talking about how them framing at the time how dangerous gangster rap was. And so I can imagine if you live on the East Coast and the South, if you're not in LA and you don't know about this war of drugs that we dealing with, you don't know that we dealing with battering rams knocking our fucking windows down and a police helicopter over our house. I mean, I used to go spend the night at my grandmama's house. It was guaranteed goddamn teed at least once a night, sometimes twice a night. That helicopter was gonna be right over top of our fucking house because some niggas ran from the police and hopped the fence and he in Miss Jackson's backyard down the street. So it's 2 in the morning, and all you hear is like, you gotta test the next goddamn day. And you got this is the shit we was dealing with. In New York, you couldn't understand because there ain't got no goddamn helicopters hovering over your apartment building. Shit too goddamn them towers are too fucking high. So this is what we dealing with. And so I'm watching the news and the news blaming the music. And then I look outside in the Crenshaw district when I'll be at home with my parents, and we'd have the helicopter over there too, at least 3 nights a week. We had a helicopter across the street in them apartment buildings that was across the street from us doing shit like that. So I easily in the late 80s, early 90s put two and two together. Well, it must be the music. I didn't know who Oliver North was in 1989. I didn't know who Gary Webb was. This information hadn't been discovered. Yes, Maxine Waters helped discover it, but Maxine Waters was actually over in my district when she was part of the state senate before she got to the federal senate. Um, so I remember hearing all this shit, thinking that okay, it might be the music. I had to when Ice Cube dropped Death Certificate though, and I listened. I was 10 when he dropped Death Certificate. And I listened to Death Certificate with my own ears because Death Certificate is something that was really talked about in a bad way. They are that they really crapped on Death Certificate when it came out, and they blunted the momentum of the sales going really big. That's why we don't look at sales. They really trashed Death Certificate as anti-Semitic, and all those labels that are popular now, they was putting that on Death Certificate before it dropped in December 1991, putting it in a bad frame. But when I listened to the album for myself, and then I went back and listened to America's Most Wanted by Cube, I was like, hold on, hold on, hold on. This nigga is telling us how to deal with this shit that I see every day. This isn't telling me. That's why I'm such a huge Ice Cube fan to this day. As a as a 9, 10-year old, 8-year old, 12-year old, 15-year old, he taught me how to navigate through my city. He taught me don't be trusting the setup. Trust. Don't ever go back to a woman's house after the club because here in LA we had the setup man, and you get a fine chick. Especially the '60s was good at this. A lot of different hoods had this, but the '60s was the best at it because the '60s they were over off Crenshaw, and the closer you got, the more west you went in LA, the prettier the women got. You deal with a woman that live off Hooper, you don't want to fuck with a woman that live off goddamn Hooper. She look like she mixed with fucked up. But then when you get on over to closer to Western and then into Crenshaw and everything, the women get a little prettier over here in LA. So in '60s hood, it was very popular for chicks to go to the clubs with niggas, get some gump ass dude that's out there flashing his money, looking doing some stupid shit, bring her back to the house, and these chicks be sitting up and niggas be sitting in the closet ready to rob you. See, the news turned around when Cube talked about that and said that he's promoting violence. No, nigga, that's what the '60s was really fucking doing. You in LA, I'm telling you, weird ass niggas right now. If you come to LA and you think you getting some action from a chick, don't go to her crib, nigga. Go to your hotel. Don't go to her hotel. Nothing. Niggas still do that out here, and that was the culture of LA. And he talked about it. And then they turn around and said, "Oh, my Ice Cube is promoting this." Like, no, nigga. I used to go to church with the setup girl. Nigga had churches where, oh, all the gangsters. We used to, the homegirl April at the church, she was one of them. We used to hear this shit when we be in youth service. Like, man, nigga, you know? So that's what he was doing. He was talking about, Ice Cube said, to be safe, don't wear no blue or red. You know what I mean? And he talked about how to live in South Central. These were all messages on how to get through what we were going through at the time. And it got reframed into something else because they would cherry pick a lyric or two and take those lyrics out of context and not bring you the context of this is what the songs like Black Korea. This is what we're dealing with. Who's the Mac? Um, get off my dick and tell your bitch to come here. This is what we dealing with. This is the temperament of the times. And this music is giving a forensic analysis of what we're going through, and it's giving us messages on how to navigate through it. But the news came around and reframed it into gangster rap. So I'm gonna let you finish your point. That was an extremely scientific, intentional uh mix up that they had, called like doing Neely Fuller said, causing confusion. And now 35 years later, niggas still ain't figured it out.
Right on. I agree with you 100%. The same way you feel towards like Cube was giving you the guidelines, I feel the same way about Pop. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like my mother was taken from me at 1 years old by police, and she was a college grad. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, I didn't have the father figure. Raised from, you know what I mean, from a grandmother that was from raised on a farm in Raleigh, North Carolina, living in New Jersey, North New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? So she worked, you know what I mean? So the music, just like how you said, the music was like the guidance, you know what I'm saying? But it was always like a confusion, you know what I'm saying? Is like the confusion is manhood or stupid for clout, which is called being gangster. That's the only thing that I was stressing, that it seemed like we never decipher as a group. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be standing up for your all the leaders in the '70s. I see that was and the Muhammad Ali's and everybody. They all was one in different sports. You know what I'm saying? Um, but they was all leaders, and that's what made I feel what made them great. I honestly feel that, you know what I'm saying, like LeBron James. I'm in Akron, Ohio right now. You know what I mean? They say he's the greatest, but what make him even greater is putting a lot of energy towards us. You know what I mean? The foundation of Black America. You know what I mean? Because I'm right down the street from his I Promise school. You know what I mean? For the second year, they test below grade average. You know what I'm saying? And it's a shame because I'm like, he gave you know what I mean, a bunch of people money, but they not the
Don't
academics is
don't
dropping.
be don't be discouraged because just understand that that's not LeBron's school, that's Nike's school. And
Right,
when
I
and when they
agree.
and when they put our faces on stuff, they
Yeah.
when they put our face on it, it's intentionally to poison it to say, "Hey, look, those niggas can't run shit." So
Right.
that thing right there. What's going on at LeBron school is
Uh,
above LeBron's pay grade. The people who put the money up for that school, who chose to put his name on it, they're the ones poisoning it.
uh,
Always remember that.
Understood, understood. Because like I said, I come from Jersey. I went to schools like named like Harriet Tubman and like Shabazz and all this other stuff. And like I'm out here in Akron. I'm the only black man on my block, and it's hard to find people what we call on code. You know what I mean? It's codified because it's so salt and pepper out here. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because, like I said, these kids now they're in the drill. So it's about causing harm to someone, which intimidates other. That's what's gangster, and that's what is like pushed out here. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because it's pockets of us. It's not too many of us, but like Marcel be saying, I mean, we getting further and further away from our goals. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, man.
That's why we just
I
gotta
don't.
go ahead and make sure you on code with yourself. You'll find other people once you get on code yourself. You'll naturally find other people that's on that same code,
Yeah,
and so so yeah. But yeah, thanks for that, brother.
no problem. B1.
Yes, sir. You have a good one. Yeah. So, Eve, did you want to say anything to that before we get to my man Ruben?
Hey, Ruben, welcome to the stage. Are you, look, before you go, I just have a question because we talked about this earlier. You're a comedian. You're not sensitive, are you? Like, because that might be a thing when we're talking about being responsible for our art.
Hey Eve, how you doing? Um, yeah, I'm sensitive. I'm definitely I think everybody is though. Like everybody has their uh their limit on what they think is cool. Like I mean, like I like dark, edgy humor, right? I love it. I think dark humor is like hella funny. But I'll hear some shit and I'll be like, oh, that I don't like that one. You
I'm not gonna let Ruben get off. I'm not gonna let Ruben get off of this. There's certain comics out there that Ruben be tearing their asses up because of how sensitive that they are. You know who I'm talking about? Initials J and D. Ruben. These
yeah.
weird ass niggas. Ruben will, especially on that political shit. Ruben will say some shit that will, if somebody's like if they're straight up one of them demo hoes or somebody like that, Ruben don't give a fuck how anybody who's straight up by the blue act. Don't nigga, don't play coy. You will yeah, nah.
No. I said no for real. Like I said, I go hard. You know, what I'm saying? I'll crack jokes on any and everybody because I do feel like in comedy, you do have that you do have that freedom. That's what comedy is. You know what I'm saying? Like comedy, you supposed to step over the line because that's what makes it funny. The fact that you went there with it. Um, but like I said though, but at the same time though, like I said, we still human. You know what I mean? So everybody got their limit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I done heard a couple jokes before. I'd be like, oh man, nah, I can't rock with that one. Just because of my. But at the same time, it's like if you're gonna be in this game and if you gonna like for me, like I talk shit. So what I've had to tell myself all the time is, well, nigga, if you dish it out, then you gotta be able to take it as well.
And that's
So
what Eve was getting at. Can you
yeah,
take it?
That part.
yeah, for sure. Like I said, I mean, like when I do my jokes and shit, and I'll like say some shit about women, and then like my female comedian friends, they'll jump in and say some shit, and they be getting me sometimes. If you hurt my feelings, I'll be like, hey, my nigga, you the one you started it, so you can't get mad. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. So but yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think everybody has their limits. Everybody has their line drawn in the sand as far as like what they think is going to be too far. Um, but yeah, like in general though, no, I'm not a sensitive person. I feel like you know the way the industry is now with comedy is just very soft right now because of the corporate side of it. Because if you think about it, comedy in Hollywood is very much a corporate structure. So back then you were able to kind of say whatever because everybody knew that it was comedy. But now with social media and Twitter and now everybody can voice their opinion at the same time and actually, if they want to enough, they can try to cause to get shit shut down like they try to do with Chappelle. So now corporations, because they got the money, they want to keep an audience. So they've made comedy now. It's kind of like with they got it like you got to treat with like kid gloves and stuff. So your In Living Colors, your Chappelle shows, that hard hitting biting comedy is still a market for it. You know what I'm saying? It's still out there, but it's not gonna be like how it once was. Like we're not gonna get a In Living Color or Chappelle show
Hey,
on
real quick,
primetime
Ruben.
TV.
Hey, Ruben. at the Comedy Chateau. I saw. Did you see Chappelle this week at the comedy at the Improv? I meant to
No,
go to the Improv. I didn't go.
nope, I
Did you
didn't. I
go?
didn't go to the Improv or the Chateau this weekend. I'm kind of mad.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
meant to
yeah.
go.
I meant to go to the Improv on Monday, but after me and Eve's Twitter space, man, I was like, man, fuck all that shit. I just stayed home and got high. I didn't feel like going nowhere after that. After that long Twitter space that we had,
Yeah, I feel
I
you on
meant
that.
to go.
That was draining. That was a draining space. So yeah.
Yeah, that shit was draining. So I didn't go. But I went to the Comedy Chateau on Tuesday, and Chappelle showed up, and I'm gonna let you finish, but he had this one joke, and I don't want to tell his jokes, but shit. All right, I'll never forget this goddamn joke. This motherfucker said Israel. No. He started talking about. He said trans people are like Israel. He said we all see it, but can't none of us say anything about it.
Damn.
That was his opener, dog.
Hey, that's hilarious, bro. That shit funny.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to address the topic is the dress and are entertainers responsible for their art. Um, I would say, as far as the dress debate goes, I feel like it really only got popular when Chappelle did the Oprah interview. That's when that whole theory of like the black man emasculation thing kind of popped off because he told the story about what happened on Blue Street. And after that, black people we kind of just took it and ran with it and just totally negated the fact that up until that point we was laughing our asses off at Shanae every Wednesday on Fox. You know what I mean? We was watching Men on Film saying, hated it, with Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer. I mean, Geraldine with going back to Flip Wilson. So I don't I don't know. I don't really think that it's all agenda based. I think some of it is. I do think that some of it is there. But at the same time, though, I do look at it as like I don't see Eddie Murphy as like being some emasculation agenda because he does characters. Like if you watch Norbert, he didn't just play Rasputia, he played Rasputia, Mr. Wong. If you watch Nutty Professor, he played the whole family. He played the mama, the grandma, the daddy, the brother, and Sherman, and Buddy Love. You know what I mean? So I can't necessarily say that black men wearing dresses is just all a tactic. You know what I mean? If anything, you could say maybe it's kind of played out a little bit. We've maybe run that trope into the ground, and nobody's really kind of did nothing fresh with it. But I wouldn't necessarily say all the way that it's all
Hey,
agenda.
Ruben. And because you weren't in here earlier when I said that, because I was earlier when I started this, I was drawing distinctions. I'm like, yeah, there is sometimes there are things that are art that are not agenda that are pulled off, and it doesn't fit in within that. And overall, I think most of it is agenda because most of it feels forced. And I think at the end of the day, we can feel the difference. I'm not gonna sit here and be one of these people and be like, you better listen to me because I know I can guide you niggas like sheep. Your spirit, your instincts know. And like I was talking about like Norbit. Norbit's one of my favorite all time goddamn
Oh,
movies. That
all
shit was
time,
so
bro. I
goddamn
quote
funny.
it every day. I quote it every day to myself. Empire
Nigga, if
Strikes.
if I'm with my sister, if I'm with my sister and we doing something, I'm gonna go to her and be like, yeah, nigga, that shit funny than a motherfucker. And
Bro,
that's yeah.
that's a that
And
is class.
so I'm not here to but versus say like as you get into the later Big Mama's houses with Martin, like, all right, mm, you know,
Like the first,
uh,
I
uh,
love the first one. The first Big Mouth House is one of my favorites as well. I love that movie. But yeah, like 2 and 3 is you be like, fam, what we doing here? Like when I look at like we got Medea's like Medea go to space. That's when you kind of be like, okay, my nigga, what we doing up in here, fam? Like
yeah,
it's
and
getting
then
a little
you got
silly.
like, but I do think at the same time, if they're going to give Eve, I see you got your hand. I'll give it right to you. I just want to make one point. And I'll give it right to you, Eve. Stay up here, Ruben, if you can. Um, when I do see also what Kat is saying, where when you want to break through, the dress is symbolic. Are you willing to do anything we tell you, we ask you to do? I think that's what the dress symbolizes. Are you willing to do whatever it is demands you do? And sometimes it can be done artfully, and I get it, but other times it's just force. Like when they put Kevin Hart in that dress on Saturday Night Live. That was
Now that,
forced.
yeah, I feel like that was to me that felt like ritualistic kind of, agenda based. Cause that was just hella weird to me. Like when I watched that sketch, it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't even funny, and it was just random. It was like, okay, what is this? And just seeing that he was kind of, he was getting his come up, it did come off like that. But like I said, but then when I watch a white chick though, white chick, hella funny. I feel like that's just a genuinely funny ass movie. That is just hella funny. Two niggas going undercover as some Valley girls in the 2000s. Nigga, that's hilarious. You're not gonna sit here and tell me that's an agenda. That shit funny, and it's still funny as hell. Like it's still a funny movie. So
Sometimes, and I think with some people, and I'm not particular, but I think with some people, and then they choose people are already on the multi-wham doom side of the game already. So it ain't no agenda to them. It's like, hey, I do this shit anyway. Some people,
wait,
but I
yeah,
did.
that's the too. Is like you can't really say it's
I
a space when niggas are signing. If niggas is willing to do it, it'd be different. You like I don't want to do it, and then they pressure you into, like I said, like a Chappelle. But if a nigga actually just want to do it, like Tyler Perry, ain't nobody forcing him. That nigga want to do it.
Like I thought that movie Tu Wong Fu with Wesley Snipes that felt forced. I mean, as a kid watching that, coming off of a White Men Can't Jump, and
Mm.
Passenger 57, he did that. I remember as a kid, my stomach kind of just turning when I saw the commercial, and I still to this day never saw that. But then you get to a movie like Joanna Man.
Oh,
Joanna
one of my
Man,
favorite well, nigga. That shit funny as hell. I love that movie.
but
Tommy
when I
Davidson.
look at Joanna Man, but when I look at Joanna Man, Joanna Man was really teaching you a lesson. Joanna Man was foreshadowing. It was telling you it was doing what movies do. Joanna Man was telling you what was coming. Like we're living in Joanna Man right now.
Yeah, real.
So with women, but I don't. Eve, did you want to say something?
Man, we over here having a whole side conversation because he's over here saying everything that y'all are saying. And I'm sorry. That shit is funny, but it's not funny. But I will give it this, or I'll give us this, some of us. The fact that Eddie was able to play so many characters, that was an art. Like you
I
can't take
agree.
anything away
I
from that at all. And I can't, and that's why that is a classic to me. Not the 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 woman dress aspect of it, but just the different characters and how much you have to put into it for it to be a whole other character. So some of the shit, like what Ruben was talking about, that Medea goes to space, niggas just want an excuse to wear a dress at this point. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but have you
Yeah.
seen Ladybug? Because apparently Roger Dangerfield in a dress is a hoot, and I'm sorry, the white people in dresses is even more funny to me because they're just so comfortable with it. Like it's just second nature to them. And then I see us in a dress and it just, I don't like it. That's just me. I don't know. I wish someone would come up and
It
have,
doesn't fit us. Like for us, it doesn't really. It like black men in dresses. It doesn't. We're black men are the epitome of masculinity on the planet of Earth. Mike Tyson was the world's athlete. You know, when it comes down to a Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant was more popular in China than Yao Ming during Yao Ming's prime. We are the face of masculinity on the planet. Everybody knows, if not consciously, at least subconsciously, them white boys is weird as fuck. Am I lying, Ruben? Eve, am I lying?
no, that's real. That's what I'm, that's what I'm trying to say. Like I see us in a dress and I can't excuse it as much as the, the multiple character aspect is that I can really respect that because of how much you have to put into it for it to be successful. I can't get away from that. I think about like Prince's talent, and he's wearing the assless chaps and shit, and some of the things that we excuse because of how talented the person is, you know, how how strange it might be. But then are they that or are they more than? And then now we're back to the conversation about are the entertainers responsible for their art? And it depends, it depends on what it is that they're putting out. And then should they have to defend it? Is it something benign or is it something malignant? And then you start looking at the again the buck breaking aspect, or at least how Black people have never really accepted this push for the emasculation of y'all. And the agenda is real. So how big of a paycheck? I'm in the back of my mind, I'm hearing the Klondike bar. Do you remember that commercial? The what would you do for a Klondike
Yep.
bar? So it's just some of the stuff is old and repetitive. And I guess I'm thankful for conversations like this because, like you said, if we don't talk about it, it will be a norm that was perpetuated because we ignored the problem. So, yeah.
Ruben, do you want to say? I have something else to say about that, brother.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you were saying about white men doing it. You gotta remember, like in comedy, it's like white dudes they think doing gay shit is funny. Like that's just white dudes humor. Like they will suck another dude's dick and be like, hey, no, it was a joke. I don't really like it. Like that's how they do that. Like for real, no, I'm like dead serious. Like I talk to white comedians and they say like, yeah, we think gay humor is funny. Like they just be doing that shit. They're like, I fuck a man and it's not gay. It was for a joke. And they just be on some weird shit like that. Like if you watch the Jackass movies, they doing gay shit on them, and they just be like, oh,
Facts.
it's for the comedy,
Jackass.
it's for the laugh.
That was my shit when it first came out, but I had to pull back on that.
Yeah, man, they be doing some wild shit. So yeah, so I think it's easy for us to accept them in a dress versus us because I think also too I think as black people we truly do value masculine in our culture as black black Americans. I think we just value masculinity. That's something that we really value, especially when you think about over the years how we've been demasculated, how from slavery up until now, with the mass incarceration, what I'm saying, the crack epidemic, all that stuff. So I think we really value our manhood and value our masculinity. Our women value our masculinity. So when you see us on a big screen like that, acting like a woman and acting feminine, it is it's definitely a turnoff. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand it, but yeah, like I said, at the same time, no, I can't 100% say that it's all an agenda because, like I said, at the end of the day, we've all laughed our ass off at this shit. So we can't just turn around and just be like, it's bad, it's negative. We're like, well, how the fuck did Martin stay on for 5 seasons being Shanae then if it's just this really bad thing that
Hey, hey,
like.
Ruben, that's another point I wanted to make. I'm glad you brought up Shanae because I thought about something when you were talking about like between Respucia, Shanae. There's also a difference. We got to get into the details. You can see the difference between when someone is truly playing a woman or when they're just a nigga in a dress. You can see it. Going back to when Kevin Hart and LeBron was on Saturday Night Live, that was just a nigga in a dress. When it comes to uh the more when as you got to the more hacky Medea shit, that was just an obvious nigga in a dress. Uh, even the early Medea movies, he was really playing her, But I think as it got a
It was
while,
funny, yeah.
became
Yeah, after a while,
dress.
it definitely got stale, yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at the people like we look at Shanae, like Wanda was a nigga in a dress. Shanae really who was Shanae though? I remember Martin even saying that. Martin when they interviewed him and asked him about Shanae, he was like Shanae was a couple different. It was like 3 different women that he knew that he was playing. Like when Shanae, the thing that made Shanae pop off so much into his fucking idiot, they'll sound like we're making excuses. So I'm gonna say that right now. If you think we're making if you're just gonna relegate everything we're saying to us making excuses, you're a fucking idiot. I want to tell you that right now in live and in action. But to the rest of us who can think and can really decipher things and see differences within things, you will see that Shanae was like that was like a character that like, but Martin also did Jerome. Like everybody knew Jerome. That security, everybody knew a 70s nigga in the 90s. Everybody had an old 70s ass Jerome uncle. You know what I mean? My uncle, my aunt at the time, he came to my sister's high school graduation in a pressing curl, in a mint green suit and that was lace, and a man purse and white loafers, and we talking about 1995. So this nigga Jerome existed. Old Otis, everybody, Otis security guard. So it was just kind of like, well, Martin, all of it, that was a specialty. Was White Mike, the one when he would play, like, going to party, dudes. Like, we knew all
Oh,
of
Bob
Martin's.
the accountant.
Yeah, Bob from accounting. Yeah, Bob from accounting. We all knew them, including Sinead. So it was like, okay, there is some. I'm like, there is sometimes it is art. Also, times when you see no nigga, that or you did something, you have to do that to be made. Martin has to place your name for that point to be made, and it fits in with Martin. It bring in special people. Martin was a special character. That was the beauty of the show, you know.
Oh, for
And
sure.
even like, so it's just like there are times it's like that, and I think it's on us uh to decipher and use our own minds and our own spirits for it. But go ahead.
Yeah, you pretty much you hit everything on the head. Like I said, Martin was another one. He was a character actor. He did characters. And it people. Uh, I'd even say even Jamie Foxx. He was on that Living Color. He played different characters. Wanda just happened to be his, was his claim to fame. But he was on a sketch show where they played different sketches, and and it worked. And the Wanda sketches was hella funny. Him and Tommy Davis's chemistry on them sketches was amazing. But I'll
Hey,
say,
that massage one, that one was
bro,
Tommy
the
couldn't,
massage
the nigga.
with the thumb. Oh my god, bro, that. And then you could tell they almost broke too. Like they was both trying to keep it together for the sketch. Like, man, they don't make comedy like that no more though, man. Just like that's like all time great comedy right there. But I'll say this though. To speak on the agenda side of it, because there is some. Okay, so David Allen Greer back in like '08. Remember he had that show on Comedy Central, Chocolate News. It was like '08, and the show was hella funny. It was like a satire news show, and they would do like news segments about like black culture, and they had one segment which was very very funny and poignant. They in it was called Fat Black Mama Syndrome, and in the sketch it was black men having to put on a wig and dress up like a fat black mammy just so that they could be heard and respected. And that was the joke. And they were saying like the rise of Tyler Perry movies and the Big Mama's houses is making black men not being able to be heard. And they had like a dude who was being interviewed, and he was like, "Watch this," and he told his kids, he's like, "Hey, can you guys turn that down, please?" And they wasn't paying attention. Then he put a wig on. And he's like, "I thought I said turn that mess down," and then the kids get up and run to turn the TV off. So like I said, it's definitely it's a fine line. Like I said, some of it is art, but then yes, also it is an agenda and it is propaganda and stuff as well. Because all entertainment has is propaganda and has messages in it. So I think it's more so just it comes down to you have to be able to watch it with your third eye. You know what I mean? And be able to decipher the messages and take what you can from it, enjoy the entertainment, and also just kind of just be aware of what's happening. So yeah, I think that's what it is. Oh, and then one last point I just wanted to make real quick. I do find it funny that when people want to bring up that white men wear dresses, we have to go all the way back to fucking Tootsie and Mrs. Doubtfire. Them movies is 30 fucking years old. But we can literally go to last year and see Medea go to space. Like, like they not wearing it at the same rate that we are. And it could be because we black, so obviously we don't watch all the white shows and all the white movies. But I mean, I can't even think of the last movie I could think of that had a white dude playing a woman was Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler, and that was over 10 years ago. That was like last decade. But like I said, Medea Go to Space just came out like last year. So
And
I,
when you look at the percentage, they only allow a handful of black comedians through. And when you see 95% of the ones that have gotten let through have worn a dress versus the overwhelming majority of white artists that have gotten through have never worn a dress. Some did. 9 out of 10 black artists that have crossed over into mainstream have had to wear a fucking dress. Percentages of it. I'm glad you said that, dog, because that's what it comes down to. It's you can name, or it's like it's not about naming who. It's almost like instead of naming who wore a dress, let's list the ones who didn't. And that's the difference when it comes to us. So when we say things like agenda, and these like Kevin Hart want to play it off and make us seem crazy for thinking like this. No, it's the fact that every time we get one, and then if we get one that won't do it, Eddie Griffin, Sinbad, we get one that won't do it, they don't get movies anymore. We never stopped liking Sinbad movies. We never stopped liking
Yeah,
Eddie Griffin never had any movies that flopped. But they didn't do that thing, so they stopped getting movies. And the ones who did get movies, we can see this. We can see this, and these motherfuckers are act like we dumb and don't see it.
yeah. Like the biggest white comic right now is like the biggest white comic doing movies is like Bill Burr. You ain't seen him in no dress. I ain't seen what's his name, Burt Kreischer. He ain't in no dress. I mean, it's a main white comedians in the game right now, and I'm not seeing them.
And it's actually, it really is more than comedian. It's really a lot of times it's actors in general. I mean, people who are allowed access to the big screen.
Yeah, for sure. So, but yeah, like I said, I think at the end of the day, you have to just be able to decipher for yourself. Um, and I think at the end of the day too, I do have to realize it's also comedy though, and I realize comedy is supposed to be absurd, exaggerated, and so I think those things are a staple in our culture because the shit is funny. It's not like the shit is bad and they making it. It's like no, they making them because the shit is funny and it's good. Like I said, Martin 5 seasons. I mean, regardless of what you feel about Tyler Perry, that the shit been made $2 billion, so somebody keep going to see it. So you know, but yeah, so that's all I would say. Is that yeah, that's pretty much it. And then as far as our entertainers responsible for their art, of course, I mean you putting that out there, so of course you're gonna, however it is received, then you are responsible for whatever it can morph into and whatever it is, because your art does somewhat speak for you because your art comes from your perspective. So, if others gravitate towards your perspective, then yeah, you're gonna be responsible for whatever point of view you're pushing. So that's all I say, and I'll land my plane.
For sure, for sure. Um, did you have a response to that
Dwan,
before you?
I just keep thinking, the first time Daria saw Shanae, it was so funny. We were watching Martin, and he came on the screen, and she said, "That's a man," and like we were weak, like we were so weak. And I think as long as parents are honest about what's going on, then that might be all right, because it's this whole not telling people what's going on, and trying to make people accept things for not what they are. I think that's probably the biggest issue with the whole dress thing. Is it a nigga in a dress, or is it a nigga who doesn't want to be a nigga anymore? So enter the agenda. But y'all were talking about Shanae, and man, that was wild. I think that we should be honest with our minis about what's going on and what they see. If it's a nigga in a dress, then yeah, that's what that is. People need to be comfortable with who they are. And if you a nigga who likes to wear dresses, then that's cool. Do you remember Holiday Heart? That shit scared me a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not trying.
Hey, but no, going back to what you just said though. Like I remember when I was a kid, and I would see like, man, Prince would come on TV. My dad would be like, "Oh, that nigga dressed like a sissy." He would say that all the time. And it would be like, and the same thing with like when In Living Color was out with Wanda. My dad would be like, "Oh man, I think he liked dressing like a sissy. He played that role too good." My dad would always say that. I think he liked dressing like a
You
sissy.
play it too good, right? Like,
Yeah, like Pops was be straight up. So as a kid, I'll be like, it was obvious to me that Prince wearing ass chaps and dudes wearing dresses was abnormal shit. So it was something that because I had a father that would just be like, my father just flat out be like, man, these niggas, I think these niggas is sissies. Don't know, nigga. And then he just like kind of laugh. He wouldn't even preach. My dad never even preached to me. My dad never had to tell me, now, son, you don't need to go ahead and protect your culture and wear a dress. He didn't get down on one knee and do all this shit that they do on TV. All I needed my dad to say as a kid was, man, these niggas look like sissies. And I was like, oh yeah, that's some different shit. And you know what I mean? That's all I needed. But uh different. I'm in the room in a little bit, so I'm not gonna take any new speakers. But go ahead, different, and then we're gonna start to shut it down.
The only thing, the only thing I wanted to say was like to talk about this stuff where y'all be talking about the white dudes being on that bro man shit. You remember that movie with it's the Deadpool. It's the guy who played for Deadpool, and he was playing as a waiter. They had a joke where they were showing off their private parts, and if they like see it, they had to kick them in the butt and all that shit. I forgot. I think it's called the Clarks or some shit like that. They was waiters, but it's definitely in their culture. Like that's strongly in their culture, but it's just that movie as an example. You know what movie I'm talking about? When the dude who plays Deadpool, he play as a waiter.
I don't know what movie it is.
I think Jess Eve might know what it is. Like he played as a waiter,
I believe you.
and they spitting like dude food.
I have no idea what you're
But
talking about, but I can look it up.
Yeah,
just go ahead and make your point.
that's all. Yeah, it's all I wanted to say. I
Yeah,
wanted to feed off of that. What dude was saying, what y'all was saying when it's the white dudes, they be on gay shit and try to play it off like it's a joke. Yeah, like it be in a lot of they fucking movies, bro. But I use that movie as an example. It's the dude who plays Deadpool. Like he
I
played
got
as
you.
a waiter. And they like
I
show
got you.
off their
Got you.
genitalia and shit and as a joke. Like what the fuck? But yeah, they
Yeah,
definitely
that's not
do
it.
that.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good
All
one, bro.
right.
Yes. No, what you said about them showing like one thing, Ruben, and not Ruben, you can attest to this as comedians. One thing about us as black people, we have a higher standard. Black people in our natural state, when we're not corrupted by their poison, we don't really do low hanging, lowbrow kind of humor. Most black people, if you ask them who the best comic is, won't say Kevin Hart. He's, they think they'll say he's funny, but they'll never put him at the top. You know what I mean? Because of how simple his comedy is. But but they'll still say he's funny because he is funny. But we tend to need more to make us laugh. White folks will laugh at the degeneracy. We have to again. This goes into understanding their culture. In their culture, again, not all white people, but we're talking culturally. Their culture l- gets a great joy out of degeneracy. Here's the proof. And if you're white and you got a problem with what I say, then show me what you've done to change it. Until then, my point stands. When you look at how they laugh, the Klan being starting out as a joke, white people were dressing up as ghosts scaring black people, and then it turned into one of the most evil organizations ever known to man. The Jim Crow, that white man used to go around doing the Jim Crow dance, was a joke that turned into laws. White people are going around the spook hunters here in LA. Was a gang that lived east of Alameda, and for jokes they would go around hunting spooks, and then they started killing them. They jokes be turning into motherfucking for real violence. They have a song. They have a genre of music out there called death metal, and called they have gore music where they literally just talk about eating people's hearts out. And in death metal, They have songs that celebrate rape, and they give detailed explanations about molesting and raping children. We don't even we don't have nothing in gangster rap to come anywhere. We don't even you can't think of a genre. You can't name a genre of black music, no matter how fringe death metal may be. It still exists, and we don't have anything close to anything singing about raping kids. You know, and so we got to understand that we're dealing with a society of people who gets laughs at the most heinous things. And I'm not saying a man wearing a dress is heinous or nothing like that. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is the most lowbrow, base level bullshit makes those people laugh. If you're in comedy clubs, making white crowds laugh to me is easy as hell. You can go to in front of a white crowd and say, "The sky's blue, bitch," and they'll fall out laughing if you deliver it right. Black crowds make you put a little more extra on it. And not to say that we're sophisticated, because we be black crowds like degeneracy too. And too much degeneracy, if you ask me, within the comedy. But you black comedians gotta act it out, gotta explain it out, gotta be funny with the facial expressions, gotta be everything gotta be on point. When it comes to them, they can just sit there flat footed and just say the most uh base level shit, and it'll be called genius. So I personally think comparing ourselves to them and what entertains them is lowering the bar. If our bar was that low, our music wouldn't be as good as it is. We wouldn't be a group of people that change genres of music every fucking 5 years. We have an extremely high bar as a people. And personally, I like the high bar. Um, Before we close out, Ruby, what do y'all say about that as far as an entertainer? What you see in other and
Oh yeah, everything you just said was spot on. Yeah, like I said, you definitely black people. We definitely are. Actually, I just posted the other day. I said, Black American audiences were harder to impress when it comes to live performances because we just so spoiled when it comes to talent. Because the best of the best come from us, so we naturally just have a higher bar. Not because it's not because we think we better, but it's just like we just know what good is. Well, we know what great is because the greatest of the greatest come from us. So, um, but yeah, definitely. When it comes to white people, yeah, they definitely kind of be white people. They're easy to make laugh. You don't have to do too much with them. And plus, I feel like you get more respect uh, as a comedian to me with black audiences, and that's something I've always kind of prided myself on because there's like this strain of black comedians who kind of try to shit on black people and be like, oh, black crowd ain't shit, they this and that, they only like Def Jam jokes, but the truth is them niggas just ain't funny, and they go to the white people for the easy laugh, or they do that little self-deprecating coon shit like, oh yeah, see, I'm not like those niggas, I'm special, I'm different. They do that kind of shit. Whereas, but if you can go to a black room and like kill that bitch, like you really got something. You could really do something with it. Whereas, like I said, you go to a white room, it's easy. White rooms is light work, light work. But if you can go to Atlanta, like that's where I came up. That's where I cut my teeth. I cut my teeth in Atlanta, and you can go to Atlanta and get them niggas to laugh. You you got something. You can be okay in this business. I feel like you go to Atlanta, Chicago, New York.
oh shit, my fault over here. I'm over here talking on mute. Um, yeah, man. Let me invite I don't think it's tripping. I'm trying to send the calls because she couldn't hear. Can't call somebody. Can't let me do it. What's going on? Um, Eve, drop down and come back up. Drop back down. I'm gonna remove you. I'm gonna remove you from the space, Eve. All right, if you'll come back. But anyway, But like, no, Ruben, as a performer, and going back to what you just said, as a performer, we're responsible for our art, but when you're black, like we require more, and you see it. Like like for me, I cut my teeth in the hood, and when I saw a lot of weird shit going on in Hollywood, I said I don't want to do that. That's what it takes to be good at to make it in comedy. I don't want it. So I cut my teeth in black neighborhoods, in the family room and all the different hood rooms. That's what I perform that much. But when I do perform, I'm always ready and I'm always ready to go and I'm always sharp. Yeah, 405. You there, Ruben?
Yeah, okay, my bad. I'm driving, so you was
Oh,
breaking up for a second. I was trying to figure this out. Okay, what were you saying?
now I said, do you have anything you want to close it out with?
Oh, you know, laugh. That's all I'll say, because life is stressful as is, so laugh. If you gotta, if it's a nigga in a dress or just a nigga just being regular, just laugh and just live life, because it's hard enough as is, so I feel like laughter is the best medicine. And oftentimes you gotta laugh to keep you crying. So just just laugh and have joy in your life. You know, I'll say that.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. So yeah, I know that's Eve. Eve, you back up here?
Man, what? Twitter is on some other shit. Ruben, I swear to God, you were buffering for like 5 minutes. You said the same one line. You could go to Atlanta and then nothing. You could go to Atlanta and then nothing. And I'm over here tripping so hard because all I hear is you could go to Atlanta and then nothing. And I couldn't hear anything. This shit was so wild. I was like, what the fuck is going on with Twitter? So yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to really interrupt it like that because I know we're closing it out. So I'm sure Ruben, whatever he just said was ill, was fire. Shout out to you, Ruben. Thanks for coming up. As far as the space though, I really like these types of conversations, one where we're kind of unpacking the industry, so to speak. Something we didn't really talk about. I wanted to. I'm not trying to whole new subject type thing, but Dwayne Wade and the fingernail polish. Just some of these things are seeping into the consciousness just by way of it being there and it being acceptable. And then these little things add up to big things like wearing a dress or trying to act like the dress is a cultural thing for some other culture. But then you look at the people in that other culture and them niggas ain't wearing dresses. So, then it's back to why are they trying so hard to put y'all in a dress? And I can't get off of that, no matter how funny it might be. Because again, we was having a whole other side conversation about how, like calling me out, like I do be laughing at that shit, but it's not funny to me. Like I have to, it is funny, but it's not. I guess I'm like Ruben, I have a dark sense of humor sometimes, but then I have to sit and think about what it is I'm laughing at. And then I guess I'm disappointed in myself for, you know, accepting it. And then is that a lot of us, or are we slowly aging out, right? Because now there's a lot of young people who do some weird shit. Enter Lil Nas X and people who might follow him just on some because he's strange or because he's bold or because he doesn't give a fuck what people say. Not because he's gay. I don't think he's gay, except for if he's had gay sex, then he's gay. So just putting that out there. But if he hasn't had gay sex and he's just on some, I'm just gonna say whatever because it's the most crazy thing that I can say, then I think we're in a very strange times. So uh, if you check the Jumbo, you can support Dwann's projects by hitting those links and putting your money where your mouth is, and just at the bare minimum hit the bell because he drops hot fire like this every week. Peace to you, Dwann.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Yeah. So close it out. Do the dress art responsible for the art? Yes, definitely responsible. And then as watchers, as consumers, we're responsible too. We're responsible to be able to see and just understand distinctions. And we're responsible for if something rubs us wrong, if something you see isn't right, it's your right to talk about it. You don't have to just accept something because somebody gives it to you. If something doesn't feel good, you got the right to talk about it. You can't let these fucking entertainers and these people punk you into, you need to just shut the fuck up because we black. Well, this like going back to Dwayne Wade and his sorry ass fingernails, that weirdo shit. They always try to make it. I said it on my YouTube show. I didn't talk about Dwayne Wade too much here because this is somewhat of where I talk about on YouTube, and y'all can subscribe to me at DwannB. But here on Twitter Space, I took a slightly different angle than I took over on YouTube. So it could be like because I'm uploading this up to YouTube, so it's even though it's a similar topic, it's kind of two different angles that I'm. Both of them agree like that, nigga. At the end of the day, do you be you, and we all need to make our own choice. And understand that at the same time, as artists, yes, you are responsible for your art. You're responsible for it. You said it. Just like it's no different than word. Like, being an artist, like artist slash content creator slash public person, whatever, slash police officer, whatever your job. Nothing supersedes the laws of humanity and being a human being and decency in human being. As a human being, you're responsible for what you say. If you say something to somebody walking down the street that can get you slapped and they slap you, you just gotta take that. If you one of the people that run your mouth to people, we all know people like that. They don't shut the fuck up. Then they get slapped. You be like, well, nigga, you shouldn't have said that. You're responsible for what you say. You know what I mean? You got these weird ass niggas that's out there. They'll see a woman and they'll say some fucking weird shit, and then be like, "No, I was trying to compliment her." You at work, told her you see her nipples through her goddamn through her bra. And it's at 9 in the morning on the way to work at work. Can't say that, you dumb fuck. You people, you're responsible for what you say. You got all these creeps out here that say all kind of weird shit. No, you're responsible for that. No different from being an entertainer. Entertainers try to hide behind being an entertainer the same way police officers try to hide behind being a cop. No, nigga, you're a human first. You wasn't born a cop. You wasn't born an entertainer. You were born a human motherfucking being. And as a human being, watch how the fuck you talk. Watch what you say. You are responsible for your words. You're responsible for everything you put out. That's the law of nature. So if you want to be known a certain way, if you want to be perceived a certain way, make sure you first off live that certain way, and two, speak that certain way. Or if it comes to being an actor, you don't necessarily have to live a certain way because you're acting, you're not living. But if you're going to act, choose your roles wisely. Denzel talks about that all the time. Choose your roles wisely. Choose roles and write roles. If you're in the person at the weigh-ins, you're in position to write roles and create roles. Write roles and create roles that are going to be representative of how you want to be perceived as an artist. If that's on the, but if you're not worried about how you perceived and you just want to go for what you think is the funniest, and you're not really tripping on how the social impact of your overall work, Because again, I ain't got no problem with don't with white girls. One of my favorite movies of all time is Don't Be a Menace. I like the Wayans brothers, but what have they written? What have they done to balance that? You know, what historical pieces? What information have they dropped? What movie have they dropped that made you question or point out the ills in society and elevated the consciousness of black people? He don't have any balance. There's no balance in his art. It's just a whole bunch of, silly slapstick shit. So if black people got something to say about that, then you got to fucking listen. Cause that's what you put out. You're responsible for your artwork. You're responsible for your art. Everybody's responsible for their art. The same way as a human being, you're responsible for what you say. The same way as a tweeter, Instagram poster, Facebooker, TikToker, you're responsible for what you type. Just like at work, you're responsible for your emails. Whatever you say in those emails. Responsibility. That's human. And be accountable. Take ownership of what you say, take ownership of what you do. And if you have that consciousness of being on having ownership of what you say, you might think twice about what you put out. And that's all I'm saying to that. Catch this shit over on YouTube. When I upload it, when I get my man to upload it. And yeah, I appreciate y'all. And remember, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. I'm out. E, did you want to say one more thing? I'm out. Nope. We out.